going to start the recording. So what I'm going to do is share something cool that I heard yesterday on a call that I've been trying to listen to other leaders and see what what they're teaching and on their goals calls. And so I was watching one from Justin Goff and Megan Goff's husband, and they are multiple star diamonds. They're like double diamond jewel family. So they know what they're talking about. And he said something that I'd never really thought of before, and I thought it was really interesting. And I think that it's good to consider as you are trying to go gold or develop a goal, because right here, I see two ladies on the call that live with me that are working on developing goals. But also there may be people that are watching this call, or you may share this with somebody that wants to develop into a goal. So I think this is good for both situations. And my dog is harassing my cat, so we'll just ignore the psycho, like, National Geographic moment in the background here. But so this is what he said. He said, people don't realize a lot of times that we have two businesses, and that can lead to a lot of feelings of failure and frustration. And what I mean is this. Okay, we have a direct sales business. We sell products on our level 1 to customers. That's direct sales. Direct sales is, I have a link, you order from my link, and you are my customer. Okay, that's direct sales. Mary Kay does mostly direct sales. Now, we also, though, we have a network marketing business. Network marketing is the people that come in for the business and want to make the money by, they come in for the income business. So we have a health business, that's our direct sales portion component, and we have a wealth business, that's the network marketing component, where we're building a downline. And sometimes we don't realize that we actually have two businesses, and that's normal and okay. And so when somebody comes in and they just want a probiotic, or somebody comes in and they want to take the products, but they refuse to share, we feel like a failure. And we don't need to, because our business is going to be composed of those two categories. And it's totally okay that some people may always just be on the direct sales side. They may just always want to be a customer. But then there's going to be other people that are going to come in and they're going to want to be a customer at the beginning, and they may catch the vision and decide they want to move over into the wealth side, the network marketing side. And so I think just being aware of that can help us to have a better mindset and not feel frustrated if somebody comes in as a customer and does not want to share, and realize that we don't have to push people to be something they don't want to be. Now, we always want to be dripping and talking about the business and making that a part of who we are, but it's okay that some of our people are just going to be the direct sales side. Does that make sense to y'all? Is that kind of like an aha moment to y'all, like it was to me? Or were you like, Aubrey, I already knew this. This already makes sense to me. You're just boring. That's okay too. What do y'all think?
That definitely like changes the way that I think about it, because I feel like sometimes the only way that I'm successful is if they're transitioning from customer to business builder. And like whenever they say no to sharing, I like think something's wrong with me.
Yep.
Or even if like they say yes to sharing and then I give them all the information and they don't do it, I think, what else am I doing wrong? Like, what am I missing? When in reality, like, I'm still successful because they're still ordering, they're still loving our products. It's just that like they have other things in their life they're interested in that aren't Plexus.
Our business is going to be made up of both. And actually, I would say that after 10 years in this business, I'm almost at 10. It's just easier to say that than 9 3/4 or whatever. But I feel like the majority of most of our businesses is built of people that really are more the customer side. And then we have that smaller percentage that want to be the wealth side, the network marketing side. But if we can just give ourselves permission to feel successful and good enough by letting people stay in whatever bucket they want to stay in, then I think that'll help. And I also think that, like I said, I mean, you can still be dripping on them. Like it takes people time to decide to buy the products and decide they want to be a customer. It takes people time to get consistent on the products. It takes people time. Statistically, people don't share until 60 to 90 days. if you know that statistic, then when people say no to sharing in their first month, you won't feel like a failure. You'll know that's normal. The majority of people won't want to share until 60 to 90 days. And so it's important that when you're bringing in people, you help them understand that they're coming in for 60 to 90 days, that their body did not get this way overnight. These are not like prescription drugs. They are not going to rock your body. Like, they are going to gently help balance your body. And that's a big difference than like electroshocking you back into shape, because these are natural products. So, you want to set that expectation from the beginning so that you have the best likelihood of getting them to share. Now, they are most likely to share when they order. So if you are putting any time in between asking them to post and when they order, your likelihood of getting them to share is going down, down, down. After that, they're most likely to be willing to share again between the 60 and 90 mark. Does that mean you don't ask them? You don't follow the system? No, but it just tells you that you're not a failure. And I think that helps so much, because when we feel like a failure, then we show up with that energy, that negative energy, and we're going to create more failure. As opposed to if we feel like, oh, this is just normal, I'm doing good, we're going to show up with a different energy, and we're going to create more of that positive activity, if that makes sense. So it doesn't really change anything as far as what we do, but it can change how we look at what we do and how we approach people. And if we really think about that, our job is to get them joining, to ask them at appropriate times to share, but then help them have a really great customer experience so that they will stick around 60 to 90 days and have the best opportunity statistically to share, then that might change how we look at customer care and because I think a lot of times when people join, it's easy to focus so much on getting them to share and less on getting them to love their products, especially if they join and will post for us, or they join and say they want to make money. Then we're all like laser focused on let's make money, and we kind of forget, I got to make sure these people understand detox. I got to make sure that I check in with these people every couple of days and make sure they like the taste, make sure they're actually taking their products, make sure they're whatever. And another thing about customer care that I've learned is if you put in a lot of effort at the beginning, you will not have to put in as much effort after that. But it almost seems overwhelming how many, like if you look at Brittany and Christina's customer care steps, I think we've shared that in several places. I can show y'all where that is if you don't have it. And even Meredith, like in the beginning, it's like, golly, I'm connecting with these people every other day or every day. But you have to, because if you don't, you will lose them in the beginning, because they're having to make life changes, and you'll lose them if you don't help them through it. But if you can help them through it and you can keep them sticking with it, then you really don't have to do much after that. So that's kind of what I wanted to teach y'all today, is just to remember that we have two separate businesses, and you're not a failure if you have people that are in different buckets. That's actually just normal, and you can look at it that way. So any questions about that before we move on to the next thing? Or thoughts? The key lime was way better than the strawberry.
So, I mean, obviously, like we all have like the system for like working on getting them to share from the beginning. But where I'm thinking is like when it gets that 60 to 90 day spot, like how do you re-bring it up? Like how do you make it, like I have like one message at the 60 day mark of like offering them to help them share and make money. But like how do I make it? I feel like one message is not going to be enough. Like I feel like it needs to be more, you know what I'm saying? Because in the beginning it's often.
Yes. So I have kind of a process of when I ask people to share. Number one, day they join. Okay. Number two, day they start their products. Now, the reason I want them to post the day they start their products is I tell them that I know that making a behavior change, making a lifestyle change is hard. And I also know that they are a person of integrity. So if they will post and put it out there that they're doing this, then that will give them a better chance of being successful because they're going to want to be in integrity with what they're saying. So day one, I'm asking them to post in case somebody they know is silently suffering that they can help. The day they start their products, I'm asking them to post to help hold themselves accountable and to be in integrity with that. Okay. Then anytime they tell me something positive, so that's why this is not an exact time, but anytime they tell me, like I'm asking them about their products, I'm checking in. I'm not waiting 3 weeks before I talk to them, but I'm checking in regularly, seeing how they're doing. And if they tell me the products are helping them with something, I'm celebrating it like it's the best thing ever. Like they just might have had a little bit of extra energy, or they slept a little better, or they said they fell asleep fast for the first time in a long time. I make that a big deal and say, oh my goodness, I bet you have so many friends that wish that they could fall asleep faster. What if you just throw up a quick post that says, oh my goodness, I was skeptical, but I started drinking this pink drink and it tastes yummy and I'm sleeping better. Anybody looking for something like this? And see if any of your friends that are silently suffering reach out to you and maybe you could help somebody. Okay. So anytime they say something positive, now that they may not want to do that. They might not tell me anything positive. They probably will, and they may not want to post that. So if they say no, I say, hey, you know what? That's totally okay. I get it. And then later, I might say, hey, I know you don't really want to post for yourself. I know you don't really want to post for a business or whatever, and that's totally fine. But, my business runs on referrals, and I was just curious if you would post this for me and just tell people if they're interested, they can message me or that I'll message them. You just keep trying different things. Like if you notice, in just that system I told you, I'm asking people to post because they, might help somebody that's suffering. I'm asking people to post to help them with accountability and getting their own results. I could also send them a message and say, hey, I have no idea if you're interested in this or not, but I just got this email and Plexus said, if you share your referral link with 3 people, you're going to make $400 and you could earn such and such. If I showed you how simple it was, would you be willing to let me help you do that? And just, so then try for the money. Like you don't know what's going to motivate people. So you have to keep trying different things. I tell you, probably 80% of the people you talk to would be motivated by the idea of helping somebody else. So a shout out for you that could also help somebody else that's silently suffering is the most likely to get them to do something uncomfortable. And also when you ask for a shout out, you tell them exactly what it's going to look like. I feel very passionate about that because if you don't tell them what it's going to look like, people assume the worst. That's just humans. They're going to assume you want them to share a before and after in their teeny yellow polka dot bikini. Like that's just where their brain goes. Or they think, oh, well, that's too hard because I have to figure out what to say, or I have to figure out a good time to do it or whatever. Like you take out as much, we call it friction in sales. You take out as much friction as possible, make it as easy as possible. You want to be able to copy paste it so they know what you're asking them to do. And then you just try different motivations. It might be money. It might be helping somebody. It might be earning a prize. Some people don't want money, but they want to earn an iPad. I wish I had a statistic of how many people say they started working the business for an iPad. Madison Ambrosetti, who went from 87 points in October to almost 2,000 points last month. She hit Emerald. She was 87 points in October. That's almost gold. And then Emerald on Easter. She hit it on Easter, which was March this year. Yes, into March. She went from 87 points to over 1,500 points in 6 months. Yeah. She started working her business back in the day because she wanted to earn an iPad and she knew she was poor and she would never be able to just buy an iPad. She wasn't gonna, her mom was already a ambassador, her mother-in-law. She didn't believe she could make money doing it, I guess, but she wanted an iPad. Vicky started for an iPad. Like There are people that started the business because they want iPads. So you just never know. So you throw in different things and you just keep trying something else. It's like when you're throwing darts at the wall and eventually one of them sticks. But as long as you have a process and you follow that process every time, then you won't miss the person that's willing to do it, if that makes sense. Does that help? What are you thinking now, Reagan? What other questions is your brain giving you? Because that's a really good question.
I think my biggest thing is like how to like all of those things. Yes, like I feel like I'm doing those to an extent, but once it gets to like the 60-90 day mark, how do you be like, okay, it's been 60 days, like let's revisit this?
Well,
That's
okay.
kind of where I'm
One thing,
starting.
my customer care, after it's been a month, that's only 30 days, but I send them a message. This is in my Taprooting. I need to work on my level 1 customer campaign, but in my Taprooting, I send them a message and say, hey, it's been 30 days. I'm so proud of you for sticking with it. Tell me what you've noticed. What are some wins? What are some ways that you're, what are some things that are feeling better? So you have to ask questions that will hopefully lead to them telling you some of the things that it's helping them with. I would say, if you already have people that are at that 60 to 90 days, you could go in and literally ask them this question. This is a fantastic thing to do quarterly. It's just to go in and say, hey, I just realized that you've been taking such and such for 3 months, and we never talked about what you're loving most and why. I'm curious. What's your favorite product and why do you love it? Or what is your favorite benefit that you've gotten from taking your products? You just want to ask a question. Like I have that in an exact message that I wrote down from Emily, but it's that basic gist. Like you're just asking them, you're just going and asking them, what do you love about your products? Hey, I noticed you've been taking, I would guess, especially if you've got people that are remnants of people that joined your team and left, and you've got people that are still there from them, you might not even know what they're taking every month. And you might not even realize they're ordering every month. So you could go into some of those people and look at, oh, they're ordering the triplex every month. And you could ask them, say, hey, I just realized that we haven't talked in a while, and I know you've been ordering such and such, but I never asked you what you love about it. I love hearing the success stories. What is it doing for you that you're loving? And just ask. Okay, so you got to ask, and you may know what it's doing for them. But if you're like me, I don't even necessarily know some of the people that are still ordering from under people that have quit. And I'd have to go look at their order history and see what they're even ordering. But I could send them that message. And then if they say anything positive, then I can celebrate them and I can say, oh my goodness, so many moms struggle with that. And then it makes us feel guilty. And we're I could say, if they say they're not snacking on that, I'd say, oh my goodness, I remember when I used to raid the pantry every night and it made me so cranky and moody. And I was just a terrible mom. I bet you have so many friends that would love something to help with that. What if we just write a quick post that says, I've been drinking this pink drink and I didn't think it was any big deal, but it's helping me with this and this. Does anybody need something like that? And if anybody's interested, they can comment and I can help you, and we can tell them about it and you can earn some money back on their order. So something real simple like that. Does that make sense? Now, if it's in their first, if they've just now hit the 60 to 90 days, I would say at least once a month, you want to ask them, how'd your month go? What are you loving about your products? What results are you seeing? What results are you still hoping to see? You just have to ask them questions that lead to them telling you what they think about their products. So when I say that, is that helpful? Does that give you more negative thoughts or concerns or questions? What is that bringing up in your mind?
No, I think I was just overcomplicating it.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
I think I was just like, it had to be thinking it had to be something completely different now that we've reached that 90-day thing, and not realizing like it's the same exact thing I'm doing in the beginning with every small win, but now
Mhm.
they're having
Yep.
bigger wins. So it's the same
Yep.
thing.
Yeah, and you just will know that if you can keep them on the products, that's when they're gonna start, because our cells regenerate. I mean, you're in nursing school. Our cells regenerate every 90 days, roughly. So it really takes about that long to start to notice true change in your body. So if we can keep them around that long, they're starting to pile up enough wins. I honestly think it's probably a chicken before the egg kind of thing, where I don't know if it's the chicken or the egg that's the catalyst, right? Does the chicken lay the egg, or does the egg birth the chicken, you know? So I think that it's kind of that thing where if they stay on the products that long, they're more willing to share because they've seen results. It's not that now all of a sudden they're more comfortable sharing. It's that most of these people wait to share until they see results. And if we can keep them on the products that long, they've seen results and they're willing to share. So anyway, doesn't mean we're not going to ask them in the beginning, because some people are willing to do it in the beginning. But it does mean that we're going to try to get them on the products, and well, we're going to try to get them to share. And then we're going to remember that until, you know, until they decide they're going to share, or until they decide they want to make money, they are in our direct sales customer bucket, and we want them to have a fantastic customer experience, because happy customers beget more happy customers, whether it's through referrals or through them deciding to work the business. And I think sometimes we want to put everybody in the network marketing make money bucket, and we forget that we've got to take care of our customers. And it's not as much fun to take care of your customers. I don't get a dopamine rush when I take care of my customers. In fact, usually I get the opposite of that, because taking care of customers is frustrating. I don't like it. It's like I need a little chart, a little sticker chart on my fridge where I can give myself a dang sticker when I do my customer care, so I can feel excited about it, because I hate it. But I have to have these customers to have a funnel to find my business builders from. Because most people, 98% of people, I've heard that statistic somewhere, I'm just pulling that out of the air, but I think it's probably pretty accurate, don't join for the business. The only people that join for the business are people that have done network marketing before, usually. There are very, very, very few people that join for the business that have not already done network marketing before. Even among the jewels that say they joined for the business, they joined as their second, third, fourth, fifth network marketing thing. Nobody starts network marketing wanting a business. They just don't, because it's not. Now, our kids might, because they've grown up with it. So there could be some change, but almost all people start for the product. So we've got to remember that that's normal, that's okay, and we've got to help them have a good experience. So, okay, that was a little soapbox. I didn't mean to get on that soapbox. Anyway, does that help? I do think we overcomplicate it. It is as simple as having a conversation. I think sometimes we forget to be real people. And you guys, I have met all of you guys in person. I like talking to y'all. It's not awkward. I don't struggle to have a conversation with y'all. Like, you know how to talk to people. So just do that. And don't overthink it. Don't overcomplicate it. Just be yourself. Just have a conversation. Know what your goal is. Your overarching umbrella is going to be to get them to share. But underneath that is a short-term goal of getting them to take their products. You wouldn't think it'd be so hard to get them to put the dang things in their body, but it is. I've got several this month that don't want to reorder because they haven't finished their products. And I'm like, I really need a calendar. So I really need y'all to actually take your products on time. But I also, because I was traveling, I did not check in with them as much as I should have. Because when you're traveling, y'all know what it's like with convention. The week before, you're all busy getting ready. Then you're gone for a week. Then the week you're trying to recover from being gone. And so I did not check in with them enough to make sure they're taking their products. So part of their only using them every couple of days is on me, because I was not on top of them. anyway, but I'm getting them to buy something because I really want a calendar. So maybe I shouldn't post this. This makes us sound really bad. Y'all know I'm being kind of facetious too. Anyway, if you're watching this and you don't know who I am, I'm goofy and I didn't get enough sleep, so I'm extra goofy. Anyway, okay. All right. So that was kind of my little spiel for today. What else? Okay, we talked about, what did people say was hard? Messaging. People said messaging was hard. Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all what makes messaging easier. You're probably not gonna like it, but it is what it is. Like, when messaging has been the easiest for me is when I make myself do it consistently. I know some people, I used to consider this, but can't do this anymore because I get put in Facebook jail really easily. It's like I'm on their top offenders list. But I know some people will send a ton of messages all at once and then not have to send any more for a week. Honestly, that's not good because you build up all the adrenaline, you send the messages, and then you're done. And then you kind of like, it's kind of like having babies. If you had a baby like year after year, you probably stop. Or if you had a baby every 6 months, you'd probably stop because you'd remember how awful it was. Kind of the same with potty training animals. Like, if you had to potty train an animal more regularly, you'd be like, no, we aren't doing this again. But you kind of forget, and then you do it, and then it's hard all over again. If you do a little bit every day, it gets so much easier. But also, for the people that were saying they kind of had message fatigue, when you keep getting no's, that's very frustrating and it can easily put you in a negative headspace. But what you have to know is that statistically, somebody's moaning at somebody, statistically, 10% response ratio is good. That's a really good response ratio. We get kind of like, our thoughts get twisted in the beginning because we're reaching out to our super warm market and it's new. So we get a higher than industry average response ratio. And then when we get to the point where it's normal, we feel like we're a failure. Again, understanding what's normal can help you feel like a success instead of a failure. If you take all the messages you sent, let's say you sent 100 messages. We've been telling people send 25 messages in a week for our Alaska group. So if you sent 25 messages, 10% of 25 is 2.5. So if you send 25 messages, statistically, you should only have responses from 3. Does that make you feel a little better? Yeah. Some weeks you might have 4 or 5. Some weeks you might have 1. And of those 3, it's really 2.5. I don't know how we have half a person. So, but of those 3, probably only 1 would even go forward and choose to join you. So we have to understand what is statistically normal, and then we don't feel bad. So, for example, Casey came to me yesterday and said, oh my goodness, everybody's, quitting because they're having issues with detox. And we signed everybody up with Triplex and everybody's having problems. I don't know if she said everybody, but so many people are having problems. So I said, oh my goodness, the sky is falling. No, I didn't. I said, okay, let's define everybody first. Let's look at, I said, make a list of everyone that is having problems and tell me like what their problem is. And then I want you to tell me how many people that you signed since June, because this is all people that have joined her team and Gina's team since June, and they've sold lots of Triplex. So what we found was 6 people, I think we had 6 people out of 34. Well, actually, that's a pretty small number out of 34. It's a little higher than average. Retention, statistically, industry-wide, good retention is 50%. That's absolutely pitiful to think about, but it's helpful when you see, oh, well, my retention's not so bad. So out of the 34 she had, so 6 out of 34 gave us about 20%, I think, if I remember correctly. So I was like, okay, I would say 20% is a little high to have problems. So let's look at how we're supporting these people, and let's look at, do we really want to keep selling triplex, or do we kind of want to shift to something that will give them less detox in the beginning so they'll stick with it? I don't know. But my point is, and what I want you guys to remember as you're helping develop golds, because you're trying to develop gold leader legs, is you want to help people have perspective. You want to teach them to have emotional maturity and not ride the emotional roller coaster. And so figuring out the facts will help with that. Does that make sense? Because you might tell me, yeah, I had 5 people. I had 5 people tell me no. Okay, but how many messages did you send? And out of those messages, what was your response ratio? What was your no ratio? Honestly, no is the second best answer, which sounds terrible. No, none of us want no, but it is, because yes is the best answer. No is the second best answer, because no answer, ghosting, just takes up space in your head for other things that could be helpful. Okay. So anyway, that's what I want to say. That's just one thing I want to say about messaging. Now, part of the other reason that it's important to have an IPA sheet and track your messages is so we can look at your ratio. Because let's say that your ratio is super, super low. Let's say you only have a 1% response ratio. So you send 100 messages and you get one person that says they're open to info. We need to figure out how we can get that up to normal. And, I mean, we could help you become a better salesperson, and you might get to 20%, and that would be awesome. But we need to know your numbers. And so when you're helping your people, when you're helping people go to gold, you need to see how many messages are they sending, and are they really getting more no's or more ghosting than average, or do they just need help understanding what's normal? And understanding that once you leave your dirt list, once you leave those people that know you really well and are going to be interested in what you do, once you pass that and you move on to your less warm market, kind of like your lukewarm market, maybe, you're going to have less and less. Cold market is the worst. Cold market reach out is going to get you the smallest amount of responses. Warm market is always going to get you a higher response rate. But if you've moved through your warm market and you're not doing something to fill up your warm market funnel again, then your response rate is going to be really low. So it's just good to know those things. And then that's why I believe in IPA sheets and tracking your numbers, because then we can look at what's going on. Where do we need to make shifts? I think there's always a solution. You can't come to me with a recruiting problem that I can't fix if you give me details and data. Because just like if you're working, let's say that you're a batter. Let's say that you are a batter for the Houston Astros, because we live close to Houston here. Let's say you're a batter for the Houston Astros and you are working with a batting coach. I think they have those. And you come to the batting coach and you give him your stats and you tell him, and you show him your swing. He can look at that and he can adjust your swing to help you have more connections with the ball. I mean, I don't exactly know what you call that, but I'm a recruiting expert. I'm a recruiting coach. I know how to help you recruit. So if you come to me with your stats and show me your swing and show me what you're doing, then we can figure out what it is that we need to do differently. It's a recipe. It's a system. 100%. I can fix any recruiting issue. We just got to have the stats. And so next week, we will probably talk about IPA sheets, because IPA sheets are my favorite, and they're not usually people's favorites. But I really do think that they are the secret to success in Plexus. The IPA sheets plus consistently doing the work on the IPA sheets. Okay. And we can talk more about messaging next week. Do y'all specifically, because Lindsay said messaging was kind of a challenge for her. What are some specific things that you struggle with messaging?
Okay, well, actually, I've had this shift over the past, I don't know. It's been over the summer, I would say,
About it.
because, okay, so I posted my stories a lot. And for the longest time, that's all I ever did. I just posted it. I never looked to see who was looking at them.
Okay.
I never looked to see who was staying on, you know, so to speak, slide after slide or slide. Like I was just doing it and doing nothing with it.
Okay.
And so at the beginning of the summer, I was like, okay, ding dong, like you really need to start doing something with all these people that are on your stories.
Yeah.
And so yesterday I actually sat down and sent out 50 messages, and probably 48 of those were story viewers. And it's rejuvenated me because
Awesome.
I get, and this has been pretty much consistent over the summer. I get way more responses from my story viewers when I message them than just messaging, cold messaging, so to speak.
I love
Even
that.
though I don't
You're
know.
doing your warm market because you don't know them, but they feel like they know you.
Right. That's
Perfect.
what I was gonna say. Most of these people I don't even know. But I feel like when I do message them, like you said, I feel like they know me to a
Yes.
certain extent because
Mhm.
they've been in my stories.
Yeah, they're
And
your bucket
so,
two people. And those are the best people. Bucket one people just kind of know you exist. Bucket two people know, like, and trust you because you've interacted with them, even though, and you're just doing one thing. I love it because that's scalability. All you're doing is posting in your stories one time, and all these people are getting to know you. I love it. Okay.
and what's really interesting, I saw this post, I think in Instagram. I think I may have it saved somewhere in my phone. I don't even know who it was. It wasn't someone Plexus related. It was just kind of like network marketing.
Mhm.
But he said, if you get 25 people to see your story, you filled up a classroom. If you
Yes.
get
Oh,
100
I love
people to
that.
see your story, you filled up a movie theater room. And
Mm-hmm.
so, anyway, it was just kind of like bringing perspective to, like, because sometimes we'd be like, oh, only 25 people saw that, but that's
Mm-hmm.
a
Oh, I love
classroom
that.
full of people.
Yeah, you can Google that.
So yeah, so I've just been using um my stories a lot over the past.
Love it.
I mean, I
Good.
still send cold messages, so to speak, but if
But they're,
someone's
yeah, but they're
having,
more to bucket two people that are going to get you more response. They're more the low hanging fruit that are more connected with you. I talked about that on our team call last night. So yeah, absolutely. That's really a good idea. Okay. So do you still struggle with anything related to cold messaging or to messaging? Or do you feel like you're at a better place with that right now and you don't really have any major issues?
yeah, not particularly. It doesn't really bother me, not really, if they ignore me, so to speak, or tell me no. I just keep it's
Mm-hmm.
I just assume they're eventually going to come around, and I'll circle back to them later, and one day they'll say yes. So I just keep on trucking. But I would just feel like if someone's feeling like they're not getting responses, and I'm like you said, I would prefer a no response over not no response.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Because it
so if
really
someone,
does help. Yeah.
I feel like if someone's struggling with wanting to message, utilizing their story viewers could just kind of like put a little pep in their step, so to speak, and just
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
I
love
feel
that.
like
Well, I know
it's
Angelica's
easier to
listening, but she's not, I don't know if she's where she can unmute, but I know Angelica for a long time only posted in her stories. And she's working on posting more in her feed, but that's really good advice for Angelica. Can you drop in our chat an example of the message that you send to those people? Just because people like to see
my
what
story
people are
viewers.
using. Yeah. Hi, Angelica.
Mhm.
Is she
Hey,
speaking to you
sorry.
in the stories?
I do. So that is where, yeah, I mainly post in my stories. I just started posting more on my Facebook
I see it. You're
timeline.
doing good.
I need to do more.
That's okay. You're
But
starting.
but yeah, I've always
Wonderful.
done a little bit more on stories and kind of I'm sorry, what was the kind of
What?
like what Lindsay was saying is I have been bad as far as like I see everyone who's looking at them, and even people who like typically if they comment then I might reach out to them, but I do know that, like Lindsay was saying, sometimes you just need to be the first one to make contact,
Yes,
and I
yes,
have
yes,
not
yes.
done that. So
That's why I'm
yeah, if you
asking
can,
Lindsay to drop that message, because I think
yeah, if you
try
can
some of that.
post that, I would need that.
Yes.
Please.
And I mean, I could give you a message, but I love using messages that people are actually using and have seen results from. Now, I mean, I'm sure I could come up with a good message, but Lindsay already just said she's doing it. So now, Reagan, do you do any story messages? I know Reagan's
Yeah.
a different age group than the rest of us. So sometimes
Yeah,
she does things differently for her age group of interesting people.
No, IG stories. I for a while there, I wasn't doing story messages, and then because I was like, oh, I've messaged them all. But then I remember that like life changes, and just because somebody said no 3 years ago does not mean that they're gonna say no now. And like people who didn't respond to a message from 3 years ago, there's probably like 10 people I can think of off the top of my head who watch my stories every single day and have never once responded to a single practice message or a personal message, but they watch my stories
Very
religiously.
interesting.
It's very interesting. And so that's why I'm very adamant about like messaging people at least once a month. I go through like a day, I'll look through on Instagram, maybe Facebook, I don't know. On Instagram, you can go through your
Archive.
your insights.
Oh,
If you
okay.
go to your insights, you can see which stories had the most view. And you can go through those, and I'll like go for a story that has like 200 to 300 views, and I'll like sometimes I'll just go systematically through them, and I'll go for like 20 people. I don't have really, I'm not as systematic about it as I want to be, because I don't want to send 200 messages a day.
Mm-mm.
But I will go for like 20 people and just be like, hey, it's been a long time since we talked about it, and I know we weren't interested in the past, but like I'm curious, have you been thinking about it recently? Which if they've been watching my stories, then like it's at least crossed their mind. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you been thinking about it? Would you be open to thinking about it? Would you be open to having a conversation about that again?
Yeah.
And lately I've been doing that in a voice message, and I kind of do like when you were talking about the cold message out the cringe, just kind of like sending it to as many people back to back to back and just keep going until you run out of people. I'll just send that over and over again. And then whenever somebody pops into my head, I'll send the same message to them. And I'll do that, just like sit down and just do it for like 20 minutes. And I get a lot of responses. Like they're not necessarily yes responses, but like if they're voice messages, then I do get a lot of responses to that. The more I'm in my stories, the more I get responses to it.
I love that. Yeah. And I think for whatever reason, stories just feel less intimidating. And I mean, you guys, I mean, Lindsay, I know I didn't follow Reagan's stories as much, but I know Lindsay and Angelica just feel more comfortable posting on stories than on their feed. So I'm not saying you should stop posting on your feed, but if, you know, you guys have built an audience on your stories, so use it. And like I was saying, one of the key things in working your business is reaching out to people that know, like, and trust you is going to give you a much better chance of getting at least an open to hearing more answer than just randomly message somebody that has no clue who you are. And stories are an incredible way, because you could just send messages to people from your Facebook friends list, but you don't know which ones of those are seeing your stuff unless they like and comment on your stuff. You can't see who's viewed your Facebook post yet, at least unless you have, maybe if you have a creator account, maybe, but I don't have that, so I don't know. But you know who's viewed your stories, so you know who those low-hanging fruit are. So I think that's incredible. And I think if you're watching this, number one, Lindsay dropped her message in the chat. I would encourage you, as some homework, to go look at your stories. Send 10 of those this week. You know, if 10 makes you feel nervous, send 5. And then be like, okay, I didn't die. Go send 5 more. And this is also a really easy way to teach new people to start reaching out. Okay. And I like that Reagan said she's not real systematic. I think there's a place for being systematic. And then there's those of us that live in reality that are like, I'm just not going to be 100% systematic and structured all the time. Like part of the personality of those of us that want to have a job like this from home is that we don't really love structure and everything to be planned out. Now, Meredith is an exception. She's special. I am not the same as Meredith. I taught her about the Errands app and then I got tired of using it. So I quit using it and I finally decided I'm going to use it again because I need it. But my brain fights structure. So I think you can have a loose plan, like Reagan said, or you can, if you love structure, have a super structured plan. Anywhere in between that works. Like I don't do story messages all the time, but I try, and here's the key, and we'll end with this. It's for you guys on here and for those of y'all watching. The key to being successful in network marketing, one of them is just to be having the conversations. The more conversations you have with people about your products or your opportunity, the more people are going to be willing to join you for the products or the opportunity. If you're not having conversations, then you're not going to move your business forward. Okay. So it's all about having the conversations. So what I mean by that, or why I mentioned that, is some weeks I have had a lot of people that have come to me interested about things, and I can message those people. Some weeks I feel dry. I have nobody interested. So I got to message some more people. I want to have a minimum of 25 conversations a week with people. So on those weeks that I'm like, I haven't been dripping. I don't feel like I've built a relationship with anybody. I don't know who to message. Now I can message random people. That's fine. But I'd rather be more successful. So a lot of those, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to go to my stories. I'm going to see who's liked my stories recently. I'm going to see who's been watching, and I'm going to send some messages. So when you need to find people to message, when you need to fill in the gaps, stories are a great way to do it. There are some people that work stories all the time, and that's fine too. But just be careful because you might get burned out with that. And sometimes you just need to try different things. And that's one place that you can find more people to message. The other thing you can do that's similar to that is, I mentioned this maybe on my team call. I mentioned it somewhere. So it's probably my team call. Go look at a recent post of yours that's not Plexus. Go back the last month, find whatever post has the most likes and comments, kind of like Reagan just said. See who commented on it, see who liked it, message some of those people. I promise we can always find people to message. We just have to keep thinking, instead of thinking, oh, I've messaged everybody, think, how can I find more people to message? You know, so that's what we can do. All right. Any final questions or anything? Everybody's got their goals for the end of the month, right? You want to have a goal for the end of the month. And don't make it something ridiculous. Like Lindsay's goal is, what are your points today? I would say you should know that, but I don't actually know mine either, so I'm not going to judge. Tell me your points today.
Okay, so I should know that because I wrote it down earlier. I'm at 215.
Okay, so Lindsay's goal does not need to be Ruby. That's just going to make Lindsay depressed and cranky, okay? Like, I'm an optimist, but there's nothing happening on Lindsay's team that's making it where she's going to go from 215 to Ruby this month. Now, could her goal be Ruby next month? Sure. All kinds of things could happen between now and next month. And this week, the work you do this week, the hustle you put in this week is actually giving you a heads up for October. So if you want to have an awesome October and you wish you could have more days in October, think of this week as extra days for October. Okay. But come up with a goal, because if you don't have a goal, you're not going to hit anything. Come up with a goal and then kind of push it a little bit. I would say the best thing for you guys to focus on this month is earn the prize, earn the calendar. It's a cool calendar. And plus the activities that it tries to get you to do are good activities. Help somebody on your team earn the calendar if you have people on your team, and set like a cruise points goal. And remember, that we get double credits the rest of this month. So that's, you know, so that's exciting, but we still have like 7 days. That's still plenty of time to get lots of things, but I want you to have a goal and work towards it, because if you don't have one, you're just gonna be like, whatever. So, but set it reasonable, okay? Any other questions or final thoughts? It's good to see y'all. And if there's something y'all want to talk about more next week that's hard for y'all just tell me and we'll dig into that next week. Otherwise, we're gonna talk about our IPA and what we're doing every day and how we decide what we're doing every day and how we stay consistent with IPA. But we can talk about other topics too. That's just the one I feel like we need to address soon, if we don't have something else. But if there's something else that becomes more pressing, we'll talk about that. Okay, all right. I'm gonna set this.
Thank you.
Want to watch it? They're gonna be like, I'm not watching an hour, but that's okay. They can watch as much as they want. Okay, bye guys.
Bye.